Why, heidi ho, heidi ho. So, message for today. All the things that we see going on around the world. So, there are bankers who rule over all the ha'adets. And it's because Arimaba allowed them to, because in their pomp and their vanity, they want to make a profit off of other people's sweat equity. So instead of working the soil, they want everybody else to work the soil. And then they want to profit off of someone else's labor. Anyway, we're told we're supposed to work the soil. But it also means these bodies, killing out our ego. So Pesach is coming up and removing leaven from the house. Well, this is also your house, your domicile. Leaven means haughtiness, our egos. So anyway, the men of war. So there was a time when we created weapons for the beasts of the field, so to fend off lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! So we were supposed to use those weapons to fend for our tribe against the beasts of the field. And somewhere along the line, sociopaths and psychopaths realize they can make profit off of those weapons. And once they made so much profit, they became greedy. So now how am I going to make profit? Well, I'm going to have one neighbor kill his other neighbor. So they start pointing out things. So look at Dr. Seuss's The Sneetches. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's funny because I just went through that with my kids, and it's about discrimination and how we view each other. Instead of content of character, we view each other by the klipa, the husk, these bodies that we live in. So those men, they like to see separation and segregation, the different names of the land, and like I said, it's all Kili Kol Ha'adets. Everybody has a right to their nationality and their way of life and their beliefs, as long as they're not causing harm. So when you realize that all the spiritual teachings they all come from the same place. So anyway, it's teaching us the different levels of the soul, and that we are not these bodies, to ascribe to something higher. But anyway, so those men that make profit, well, it starts with the bankers, lending and borrowing at interest, getting you to lend and borrow at interest because they only loan at interest, because they have to make a profit off somebody else's sweat equity. But then they want to have you be cannon fodder and your children be cannon fodder. So they want to go to war and have a bunch of people kill each other and all this, that, and the other. And they'll announce things ahead of time. So they want a universal ID for everybody. They want digital IDs, and that's all got to do with the plutocrats, the psychopaths and the sociopaths, narcissistic character traits. They want you to have their ID. So they push that. That's what all this is about. So all that crap you see that's going on in different areas of the land with the ICE agents, that's all got to do with them pushing they want you to have their identification. That's wicked. So that's a trespass against the man. But also it comes down to using that Gregorian calendar. It goes back to Rome. No matter what you want to say, it goes back to Rome. Because after all, they believe in capturing souls, putting the footprint of your child onto a piece of parchment and capturing their soul as they believe. So anyway, those individuals, they love making profit off of war. So it's the military-industrial complex. They love it when your children are cannon fodder. But the funny thing is if you turn around and you realize what's actually going on and you start to put a bullseye on their forehead or a bullseye on the forehead of their children, they're not going to like that all too much. So they'll sit and brag about how they disrupt other people's economy and children are starving. And they say, well, we didn't have to fire a single shot to screw their life up. That's wicked. That's the Yetzirah, the evil inclination. the belief that you can go into somebody else's backyard and rip up their vegetables. That kind of mentality. Well, you didn't ask me for my consent, and it's against my spiritual convictions that you should have a right to fend for yourself. The same individuals who have nuclear weapons but don't want others to have nuclear weapons, the same individuals that have weapons that incinerate people's bodies that are non-nuclear, but will actually incinerate the body at over 6,000 degrees and everything in the vicinity. But they don't want other people to have weapons to fend them off. So the right to fend for oneself. You need me, and you'll live according to the way I want you to live. Well, there's some truth in that, but also you're showing what's in your own heart. The fact that you believe you rule over the land, and you don't believe in Kili Kol Ha'aretz, that all the earth is Hashem's. So Israel is amongst all the nations. And what it comes down to is we can't harm anybody in any nation because we don't know who Israel is. So when you start removing things from Torah and Tanakh and not looking at the big picture, Hashem has already told us that Israel is dispersed among all the nations. So we can't go into any portion of land and destroy anybody because we don't know who Israel is. But ultimately it comes down to, like I said yesterday, every atom is a part of the body of Hashem. So the belief that you can destroy any atom in any way, shape, or form, you could use it for something that's raw, wicked, use a fictitious conveyance of language and make false and misleading statements, and you think that's not being wicked. Hashem sees everything. So the Aleph is actually a symbol of quantum entanglement. The Yod above and the Yod below and the Vav between, which hooks them. Aleph can also be exchanged for Ayin, 3 eyes, left, right, and the pineal gland, the 3rd eye. So anyway, if you look at things like that and realize those same individuals are all just fine. Your children being cannon fodder, but they don't like it when you make their children cannon fodder. You put a mark on their children's head and they'll become scared. You put a mark on their head and they'll become scared. So that's the message for today. It's your God-given duty to not allow psychopaths and sociopaths to dictate your future. God bless. Much love.